Good afternoon, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be a part of Connecting the Business in Ghana. Thank you very much, Dimitri, for this invitation. And I'm speaking to you today on investing in Ghana, legal framework that governs investment in Ghana generally, and particularly for participants who may be interested in investing in our country, Ghana. And when we talk of investment, the main law that governs investing in Ghana is the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act 2013, Act 865. Now this act has two key objectives. The first objective is to create an investment promotion center as a key agency for investment in Ghana. And then secondly, the act also seeks to create an incentive framework and a transparent, predictable, and facilitating environment of investment in Ghana. We would want to now look at what key provisions there are in the act that will be of great importance to you, potential investors. First of all, as an investor, you are required to incorporate a company in accordance with the Companies Act of Ghana and other related laws peculiar to the area of enterprise. And so here I'm talking about the fact that if you want to invest in the oil sector, oil and gas sector, there are specific laws that relate to the oil and gas sector. If you want to enter into the minerals and mining sector, there are specific laws. Telecommunication sector, there are specific laws. So apart from the general registration, apart from the registration that is provided for under the Companies Act, you also have to register under the laws that govern the specific area of industry that you seek to invest in. Now, for enterprises with foreign participation under the GIPC Act, they are also required to register with the Investment Promotion Center. Now, this is important because unless you are registered under the investment promotions, under the center, you will not be entitled to some of the things that I'm going to talk about by way of incentives for investors. So generally, there are tax laws that govern all activities, all economic activities in the country. But if you are an investor who wants to register in Ghana, and for that matter, when you are registered with the Investment Promotion Center, you become entitled to benefits of similar nature of enterprises provided under the various tax-related legislations in Ghana. And this may include tax exemptions for plant, machinery, and equipment recognized as zero-rated under customs laws in the country. Now, we want to look at what areas of investment are precluded for Ghanaian citizens. That is to say, there are certain investment areas that as a foreign entity, you are exempted or you cannot invest in. And these are basically petty trading enterprises, such as sale of goods, taxi, and car hiring, and not exceeding, for example, 25 fleet of cars, beauty salon, production of books, and basic stationery. So our laws make special protection for small-scale business enterprises for Ghanaian citizens. Now, what enterprises can foreign investors, engage in, or enterprise eligibility for foreign investors under the Act? First of all, there is a requirement of a minimum investment of $200,000 for joint ventures where Ghanaian citizens hold at least 10% of equity. So to invest as a foreign investor, you ought to have at least $200,000 in an enterprise where a Ghanaian citizen holds 10% equity. But where the enterprise is wholly owned by the foreigner, your minimum requirement is $500,000 US. And at least $1 million US is also a minimum requirement for foreigners who want to engage in trading. Such investors are also required to employ at least 22 skilled workers who are citizens of Ghana. There are exceptions to the minimum capital requirement under the Act, and there are basically 3 of them. The first is that spouses of Ghanaian citizens, spouses who are foreigners, but who are married, validly married to Ghanaian citizens, and ordinarily resident in Ghana, are exempted from these capital requirements if they want to invest in Ghana. Again, where the investment has to do with export, trade, and manufacturing, they are also exempt. And then also with portfolio investments. The Act prohibits makes special prohibitions against discrimination of foreign investors. So foreign investors are entitled to the same application of legislation for Ghanaian enterprises in relation to matters of licensing, the records of bookkeeping, the accounting standards, taxes, and insurance requirements. All these laws operate at the same level for foreign investors and Ghanaian citizens. There is also a guarantee against expropriation when you are an investor in Ghana. That is to say that foreign investors are guaranteed against the nationalization of their businesses and expropriation by the government of Ghana of their businesses. So except where there is a national interest or a public purpose matter at stake, the government shall not acquire investors made by foreign investors. Now, where the government has to do any such acquisition, it must be backed by law. And the investors shall also be treated fairly and justly in terms of compensation that is due them. Again, investors have rights to access all the courts in Ghana. The Constitution of Ghana provides for the independence of the judiciary. And for purposes of promoting investment, the courts have dedicated special courts called commercial courts, whose procedures are tailored to enhance speedy and amicable resolution arising from commercial transactions. All these provisions are in place so that investment in Ghana and transactions and all of the operations as far as investment in Ghana will progress so well. Again, the Act has special provisions also which guarantees the investment, such as the transfer of capital, profits, and dividends and personal remittances. So that is to say that investors in Ghana are guaranteed unconditional transferability in freely convertible currency for dividends from their business, loan repayment, remittances after deduction of taxes and other obligations. So there is flexibility regarding how foreign investors can treat transfers of dividends from businesses that they operate in a country. Now, apart from these provisions, these incentives that I've highlighted under the Ghana Investment Promotions Act, in Ghana, we also have the Free Zones Act. The Free Zones Act is a complementary act to enhance or to govern investment in Ghana. So under this act, specific areas in the country have been earmarked as free zones. And under the act, where an investor invests in any of these earmarked or enclaves known as free zones, they enjoy these incentives. The first, for example, is that 100% that they have 100% exemption from payment of direct and indirect duties on imported goods for production and exports. So if you set up a business in any of the areas and that identified as free zones, you have 100% exemption from payment of direct taxes and indirect duties. Again, there is an exemption of 100% from payment of income tax on profits for 10 years, and which does not exceed 15% thereafter. So after the 10 years expires, if you have to pay taxes of income on profits, you do not exceed 15%. Under the Free Zones Act also, there's a provision of 100% exemption from payment of withholding tax from dividends. There is also a relief from double taxation for investors whose countries of origin have double taxation agreement with Ghana. So where the investor's country has a double taxation agreement with Ghana, they are relieved from double taxation. Again, there's no import licensing requirements for investors who set up their businesses within the enclaves. And all the investors have 100% ownership of their shares. They are also, under the Act, able to operate foreign currency accounts in the Central Bank of Ghana. And they are also permitted to export 70% of annual production from the Free Zones enclave, with the remaining 30% retained for the Ghanaian market. Now, let me take you back to the GIPC Act, because when you want to set up in Ghana, obviously, you would also want to know what does the law say regarding immigrant permits and work permits and matters of that nature. So there is what is called under the Act automatic immigrant quota. Now, this is an indefinite work permit slot allocated to companies registered with the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. The number of quota a company is entitled is determined by the level of foreign equity or foreign capital invested into the company's operations in Ghana. So, first of all, if, for example, you invest, if you invest between $50,000 to $250,000 paid up capital, you are entitled to an automatic immigrant quota for one expatriate. And between $250,000 to $500,000, the law says that you can have two expatriates. Between $500,000 to $700,000, 3 expatriates. And over $700,000, 4 expatriates. Now, let's now take a look at dispute resolution for investors in our nation. Now, where disputes arise between an investor and the government of Ghana, for example, the GIPC Act provides that both parties will work assiduously within a period of 6 months to reach an amicable settlement. And this is done through discussions. Now, if this fails, And the law permits the aggrieved party to opt for arbitration in accordance with the UNCITRAL rules, or for a foreign investor whose country of origin has a bilateral agreement with Ghana or is a part of a multilateral agreement with Ghana, they will resort to the multilateral or the bilateral agreement to resolve any conflicts that arise. And this is basically between the investor and the government of Ghana. And then, in the absence of all of this, Ghana has the ADR Act, or the Alternative Dispute Resolution Act, Act 798, for dispute settlement using mediation, arbitration, and a hybrid of all of that. But then where there is a dispute between a foreign investor and the government, in the absence of one party resorting to the UNCITRAL rules, or in the absence of any bilateral agreement, it's the ADR Act that will govern, except where there is any other special provision made in whatever agreement existed between the two parties for their transactions. Now, having said all of this, there are other areas of law that promote investment in Ghana. Our constitution promotes free enterprise. Under Chapter 6 of our constitution, which is on the directive principle of state policy, investors, it's a clear pronouncement or an affirmation of the country to promote investment. Again, if you are a foreigner and you want to acquire a property in Ghana, our constitution says that acquisition of interest in land by foreigners shall not exceed 50 years lease at a time. What this means is that for the acquisition of land, lease will not go beyond 50 years at a time, but this means it is subject to be renewed after the expiration of the 50 years. I've also mentioned already the independence of the judiciary, which promotes good governance and enhances the principles of, or the provisions of human rights as enshrined in Chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. Quite recently, the country has also promulgated a new act called the Public-Private Partnership Act, the PPP Act. Now, this is an act that is a feather in the cap of promoting investors. So the government, in partnership with private investors, foreign and local, this law, the Public-Private Partnership Act, provides the right framework for these parties to, partner to deliver infrastructure of high value for development of the country. So in the light of investment generally, all these laws are there. I've also mentioned that depending on the specific area of investment, be it oil and gas, mining, petroleum, telecom, there are specific acts that also, apart from, that also provides the right environmental and investment framework for investors to invest in the country. So the regulations are both industry specific and then general. That's the point I am seeking to make here. So, for example, if you want to go into the manufacturing or any activity that has an impact on the environment, there are environmental protection laws that would guide or provide the right framework for such an investor to operate. In the same way for telecommunications, for food and drugs, and all of that. So at this point, I will bring my presentation to a close, and I hope that this short time, or this brief presentation on the laws for investment in Ghana has been well articulated, and you'll be able to contact us for further consultation and in-depth appreciation of any specific area that you may seek to invest in Ghana. I want to thank you very much for your audience and wish you very fruitful deliberations hereafter. Thank you very much.